folks. Welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always on the other side is
Maddie Juice. What is up, Tommy? I know a little remix there right in the beginning.
yeah.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? How are you? If you're watching on the YouTube side of things, it might look a little bit different. Tommy, what's going on the
Ah,
YouTube side of things?
nothing. We're trying a new like program here to record. We usually do OBS for the people out there who know what OBS is. We're trying something else called I don't even know what it's called. Oh, StreamYard. Yeah, we're trying that out. We'll
Yeah.
see if it works. If it, call in, folks. If it sucks, but if it's better or just totally fine, it might be easier for us. We might keep rocking with it. But we do have a great show for you all this week. We played a little game called Archaeogem, which I am excited to talk about, and we're going to catch up, get some news and some listener questions as well. But we do need to catch up. Matthew, what have you been up to? What is going on?
Yeah, good amount of stuff's been going on. On Friday, took a little time off of work early, went and played some golf, did like a little golf kind of thing that like the county's doing where it's like a brewery kind of teams up with a golf course and they got like food there as well. So it was kind of like local brewery, barbecue, played 9 holes. The course we went to, not the horse, but the course we went to was there's one that I've never been to before in the county that is always booked, and it's just like it's like $100 a play, so it's a little expensive for around here at least. But it's always booked in the mornings when typically you would want to play. So going there, seeing how nice it was, super nice. Got like a free bucket of balls for the range they have there. Really well kept. Kind of felt like I shouldn't have been there, like it was definitely for people with a little bit of pocket money, but yeah, it was awesome. It was a great time. Play with my buddy Bags. Shout out to Bags, killing it on the
No, no.
golf course. Getting better each sesh. We're actually playing again tomorrow. Took off of work because his dad is like sponsoring a hole at like some I guess I don't know if it's charity golf tournament or something like that, but his company is like sponsoring a hole, so we were able to play for free breakfast, free lunch, free golf. Pretty cool. So yeah, it's been golf filled lately, I would say. And then yeah, other than that, I mean, over the weekend, didn't do I don't even remember what I did over the weekend. I just remember golf on Friday, hung out over the weekend, had a good time, and here we are. I played some games. I did boot up some Hades as well. I
Ooh.
know I've talked about it in the previous episodes that I've never played Hades, but I was like, you know what? I have it. I own it. It was free on the Epic Store like a while ago. Never played it, and I've been really enjoying it. I may be like an hour in. I haven't really like put a ton of time into it yet, but it's all. I get the hype. I get the hype for sure. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been excited about playing. Like other than the podcast games, been really pumped about playing some Hades and some Animal Well too, thrown in there a bit, trying to complete that game. But what about you, Tommy? What's going on?
Oh, not much. I finally had like a relaxing weekend. We had weddings back to back, and this is the first weekend where like we actually didn't have anything going on. So, we went out to dinner on Friday night, got some Indian food. It was delicious. What did we do Friday? We kind of went to the gym, just like got a workout in, went around, shopped a little bit. On Sunday, I got to do some yard work. We worked on this stream to make sure it worked for this when we record today on Monday. And yeah. Other than that, I mean, what's crazy? I don't know if it's TikTok or if the NBA is just getting better. But I was never an NBA fan, but I'm becoming like an NBA guy. I popped on
Really?
Game 7 of the Nuggets and Timberwolves last night, and I was locked in. It was it's entertaining. I mean, watching Jokic and Anthony, or what do they call him? Ant. They just call him Ant, I think.
Yeah,
But
sounds
Ant,
familiar.
and who they theorize is Michael Jordan's son. I thought that I was Michael Jordan's son, but I
Mm.
guess perhaps I am not. But you know, It's been fun. And today I went to the dentist. My dentist really loves to jab me, I think, with the numbing stuff. Because I was like, do I need to be numbed? He's like, I recommend it. And I was like, but like, do I need it? And he was like, well, I'm gonna be really digging in there. So I recommend it. And I was just like, do I care? Because I can feel you dig it in. It just doesn't hurt as much, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna feel it hurt later when it wears off. Right now, it's starting to hurt, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I need to reconsider, but I guess 3 months, and I got to go back. They was like, "Oh, we want to check up on you." Well, that's very
Mhm.
nice. You
Yeah.
just want me to open up my checkbook, which I don't have. I don't even. I do have checkbooks, but I don't use them. Those only come out for weddings. It was like, all right, we need to write a check
Yep.
for Mr. and Mrs. So and so, or whatever. But other than that, that's really been my week. I mean, it's just been kind of a nice nothing week. This next
Nice.
week is not a nothing week. It's very busy, actually. I will say, and I'll talk about it next week. But I am recording a set review for Flesh and Blood on my other podcast. This is gonna be like a 6-hour podcast. It should be interesting.
Woo!
And then have some stuff going on the weekend, but we'll talk about that next week. But Matthew, we do got to get to some indie game news. And
Yes.
I tell you what, first of all, the biggest news in the world, oh my god, is that we have a Discord, folks. Did you know that?
What?
The Fresh Juice Discord is the place to hang out if you love indie games. You want to chat about Animal Well, you want to chat about Balatro. Oh, that's another thing that happened this past week. The Switch finally got the Balatro patch, like the big update. So
Nice.
I'm ripping and roaring on Orange Steak now. Got to get it going. Trying to get that 100%
Yeah.
completion. But you get to chat about all those kinds of fun things. I know Turtle Matern's in there. He's playing Animal Well, among other things, and Capolo is playing some weird farming game. I tell you, I
Yeah.
don't even know what it is. I
It's
took
like
one look.
it's crazy. It's like
It,
coding and farming. You like code the game, which is also playing the game. It's like I don't understand it either. But he shared his shout out to Capolo, man, like going all in on a game like that. He shared a GitHub repository of his game. I was like, that's like what developers share for like their code and stuff. Like this is gaming. This is meta gaming. Can you get more meta than coding is actually the game that you're playing? It's just like, oh, it's wild. It's pretty wild stuff.
Well, if anybody was going to find that game, it was Capolo. Shout out Capolo and all of our wonderful listeners and viewers, and especially the ones that hang out in the Discord, which is a great place. But we do have some indie game news, so let's talk about it. You threw one in here about a huge remake coming to Xbox.
Yeah, so this is one of these games that I've actually never really heard of before. I think we talked about this a bit ago the other day, but it says one of the best Xbox indie games just got a must-play remake, and I can't put it down. Braid Anniversary Edition has just launched, and it's the definitive way to play an all-time great. So the game Braid has a new remaster. Apparently, that's a game from back in 2009. The Xbox 360 Xbox Live Arcade service had this game. Really
Whoa.
throwing it back right there. Shout out to the Xbox Arcade. And yeah, I've never heard of this game. It has a really interesting looking art style, and I might need to check out this remaster and just see how it is. It kind of like, at least in these screenshots, it kind of looks like Donkey Kong. Like it's like a
Yeah.
Donkey Kong inspired game, but it's kind of got like these paper sort of graphics. Pretty interesting. But have you played Braid, Tom? You know what this is?
This is my first time hearing this game, and I will say we're looking at a screenshot here, and I think the viewers should be able to see it as well. It
Yeah.
looks like Donkey Kong, yes, but instead of barrels, it kind of looks like the insane evil hedgehog from Honeycombs cereal when when we in the 90s. Like, you remember that like crazy ass hedgehog?
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, listen, this is pretty awesome. I think,
It,
like, if it's worth an anniversary edition, I mean, it must be a banger. So, for if you've played this game, please comment below because I'm very, very interested to see what this is all about.
Yeah, it's listed here as a classic puzzle platformer. It's 19 bucks on all the platforms, basically. Even iOS and Android, it's on there. So pretty interesting. I wonder if it's part of the Apple Arcade. Not too sure, but
Ooh.
yeah, might have to check this game out. So any Braid fans out there from back in the day, back in Xbox Live Arcade era, maybe check out Braid Anniversary Edition.
I'm more of a ponytail guy. No, anyway, we have another article here about we have FTL takes to the high seas in the new indie pirate RPG game called was it Sea Blip?
Yeah, Sea Blip. So
Yeah.
this one kind of caught my eye because looks very similar to Stardew Valley. It's an early access game that just came out, Sea Blip, that is pirate themed. So I'm always into like pirate related stuff, right? We got Sea of Thieves, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I know there's all those One Piece fans out there, those weebs. They love pirate stuff too. So yeah, I don't know. It just seemed pretty interesting. It's like an FTL Terraria Stardew Valley inspired game called Sea Blip, pirate RPG. Gameplay looks pretty interesting. It was kind of giving me like, from the art style at least, like Plunder Panic vibes a bit
Hmm.
there. So I'll play a little gameplay here for the listeners, but or for the watchers, I should say now. Since we've got gameplay on the video screen there, but yeah, it seems kind of interesting. Like I'm always interested in like pirate related stuff because I just feel like there's a lot of replayability with pirate things for whatever reason, and it's also just always interested me, right? Like it's just like the pirate life, man. Seems pretty awesome, and Stardew's an awesome game as well. So I don't know. What do you think about this, Tom? Is this something that you would check out?
Yeah, I mean, even looking at this gameplay, you get a lot of Stardew Valley vibes, but also a lot of Terraria vibes, which I know the article mentioned, but I've been known to mess around with some Terraria from time to time,
Mm,
and this looks like a fun time. I see no reason why this might not end up being a hit and something that we end up reviewing down the line, or even just playing in general, because you know we've played Sea of Thieves together. It's a ton of fun, and this just seems like another kind of fun addition to like this pirate theme genre. It's like pirates, dwarves. Maybe it'll get its. I mean, maybe it already has its own tag. To be honest, I don't even know,
yeah,
but
you
it
better.
seems really cool. I'm excited for this because it's on early access. How much is it on early access? Do we know? It
Um,
is
it looks like it's
13.49 on a
yeah,
discount right now, so probably 15 bucks.
yeah, pretty good. I mean, if it's anything like Terraria and Stardew Valley, it's got a lot of depth to it, right?
Hmm.
So seems like a pretty good value there. Haven't seen many reviews of it yet. I think it's like kind of still flying on the radar a bit, but yeah, wouldn't be surprised, like you said, to see this kind of blow up. So to any listeners out there that try out Sea Blip, let us know what you think. Seems like it's got a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and you know what else has a lot of potential?
Tell me.
Pokemon clones, Matt.
Yes.
Because there's one that finally it's been out for a little bit now, Cassette Beast, right?
Yep.
And it finally has multiplayer, which I think is pretty huge because the life of Pokemon like really has always to me has seemed to depend on how much multiplayer you can play, right? Because once people beat the games, they'll play a little bit, maybe they'll shiny hunt or whatever, but it it takes on a second life when you go to like tournaments and stuff like that, and you see folks kind of like play. They're watching competitive Pokemon. It was an eye opening experience for me because I was like, well, why would I ever use the status abilities? Why would I ever use the status moves? I delete those immediately, and I don't care. It's tackle, bubble beam, water gun, and bubble on my Squirtle. I don't keep tail whip, but guess what? I mean, tail
Yeah.
whip is probably not one of the good ones, but like the amount of sword dance is being used in these things is pretty crazy. So I think that like I don't know, this game looks awesome. This cassette piece, I had never heard of it because there's a lot of clones out there for Pokemon, but this seems to be one of the better ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I never really had heard of this game. Apparently, it came out last year. Obviously, indie game, turn-based monster collector. Like you said, there's a lot of them out there, and this is actually on Steam, Xbox, Switch, and mobile devices as well. So yeah, it just seems like a pretty interesting, um, excuse me, take on Pokemon in terms of the art style as well. It's kind of like that 3D, almost reminds me of like Pokemon X and Y in a way. And then apparently the multiplayer supports up to 8 players. There's like rating. There's 1v1 battles, which obviously everybody really wants, in like a Pokemon style game. So yeah, it seems pretty interesting and awesome name too. I mean, Cassette Beasts. I mean, really just throwing me back here. Back in the day when maybe until like I was 5 years old when cassettes were still a thing. But still, I remember them. But yeah, it seems cool. I definitely think this could be a fun game to play with the juice heads as well. So might have to check this out sooner than later, to be honest.
Yeah, I just looked on iOS and it looks like it's not out yet, but it's coming out on the 4th of June.
Okay.
But it looks super cool. Like the cassette theme is really neat. You do wonder. I mean, do a lot of the younger children, the younger generations know what a cassette is? Maybe they don't. I'm starting to see bands actually sell cassettes of their albums now, which like is kind of funny because they sell vinyl because analog is supposed to be a lot better, but cassettes I don't think were ever really the like the best form of audio you can get of
Yeah.
something. But it is funny to see that they're doing it. But looks pretty awesome, man. I don't know. We'll have to play it.
Yeah, definitely gotta give it a whirl. I mean, honestly, I feel like we're in like the golden age of indies. There's like so many that come out now. I'm like, I don't have time to try out all these games, especially ones that I've never heard of that just pop up. I mean, C Blip, pretty much all the games we covered today. I'm like, I want to play and try these out. But I think it's time to get into the real game, Tom. The
The
real
real
game of the
game,
hour.
the real game is, gosh, it is Archaeogem, man. It is. It is. This game is from developer. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pronounce this. Gagon Fee and Hugo B. Designer, and published by Gagon Fee. Gagon Fee. I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's on Steam and it's $9.99 and currently on sale to May 31st, 30% off, $6.99. Right? Seems like a pretty good deal. Hats up and whips out. The wilderness mysteries await. Explore lush biomes. Use your trusty whip to extract wildflowers, mystic powers, and collect rare gems in this dynamic precision platformer. Unearth archaeological marvels and become a legend. And I tell you what, we are going to decide if this is a legendary game. This, first of all, is one of the I don't. It's totally. Before we get into like the real nitty gritty of the gameplay, this is a game that feels like they wanted to take Celeste and give it another flavor, right? And the flavor was Indiana Jones. And
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious from the gameplay and the aesthetic and everything else. The main kind of hook here, because it is a precision platformer, a lot like Celeste is, which, if anybody's ever played that, one of the arguably one of the best platformers, maybe of all time, to be honest. And for multiple reasons, we're going to get to that. And I'm going to mention it quite a bit in my review because I've played Celeste. And it's kind of hard not to because this is so clearly inspired by Celeste in a lot of ways. So for the gameplay, first I will say I started off and my Switch Pro controller was not working with it, so I was playing on keyboard. I will say, do not play this game on keyboard. It is very, very hard to play on
Yeah.
keyboard. It was super difficult. But I went into their Discord and I mentioned, it's like, is there any way to do this? And they mentioned, oh, you should be able to go into the settings and it should end up working fine because it's only a few buttons. It's not. I think it's like 3 buttons maybe, and then like your movement inputs. So this is a difficult game. I will say it has a high skill cap, right? So you are this Indiana Jones archaeologist. I can say that word, I think. But and the hook here is, you're doing platforming stuff, right? Avoiding spikes and stuff like that. But you have a whip, and what the whip does is it will whip flowers that are within the level. And each flower will give you an additional kind of power, only for a certain amount of time till you use it. Then you have to whip another flower. So is that lies the main puzzle idea of this game, right? So, the first flower you come across is this pink flower, and it's like a boost, right? You can boost forward or any direction that you kind of point, right? And it helps you get to a higher spot. It helps you kind of go through a really tight spot where you perhaps wouldn't have been able to kind of jump through on your own. And, it helps you kind of finish the level. It's part of the puzzles, and it presents puzzles that want you to use that. And then you move on to the second world, and then you start dealing with the yellow flowers. And the yellow flowers are almost like grapple hooks. They don't give you a power initially, but you hold on to them and you swing. And that is part of the puzzles of those uh kind of levels, right?
Mhm.
So they're pretty hard, right? It's no doubt, like, right out of the gate, this is a difficult game. Like, it goes easy on you in like some rooms, and you're like, oh, this is good. Like, it'll ramp up, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be tough, and I'm gonna lose my mind. And thank God I didn't keep playing on keyboard, because I don't think I would have finished anything. I made it through two worlds. For anybody to know, I didn't finish the game, but I played a decent amount, like 2 or 3 hours. It is a very cute game. The movement is great. And, that is pretty much it. It doesn't have a lot of variation in terms of like the gameplay. I will say it is kind of one note, with only having so many or so little inputs, right? Because it's about the whip, and you could do like wall jumps and stuff like that as well. And that is pretty much it. I didn't find the puzzles to be boring. You kind of get a feel for what you need to do. It's just difficult to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, all that being said, the gameplay is good. I liked it. I really liked Celeste, but there are some things in Celeste that kind of um make it what it is, right? Where
Mm.
this is a fine game that is inspired, clearly inspired, and I like the overall vibe of it. We'll talk about that with the story and the art, but you know, it felt a little one note and empty in a way, if that makes sense. But I have to say the gameplay is clean. It does provide a challenge, and the hook is cool. Like, using the whip is very cool. It's very hard, I would say. Like, if you really
Yeah.
want to challenge, just like if you like challenging platformers, I think you're going to get a lot out of this, right? Because that is clearly what they aimed for, and kind of what they got out of it. But what about you, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with like a lot of your points. I didn't going into this game, I didn't think it would be as difficult as it was. And just for the listeners to know, I've actually never played Celeste. I've only ever watched Celeste. I know it's an amazing game. Maybe I'll tackle it after Hades. Maybe it seems like I got to do a little indie catch up there. But so for me, it's hard to like compare it to really anything else. I did kind of, I know we chatted briefly. We usually don't talk about the games before we review them, but I did like compare it to Animal Well. In not really, most of Animal Well is not like this game, but it's a non-combat Metroidvania essentially. And that's kind of where I was. Well, it's really not a Metroidvania, I guess, in a way.
Hmm.
It's very just level based, and you did say that it was like um it was punishing. It is very difficult, right? Or I guess I should say you said it was very difficult. I
Hmm.
don't think it's super punishing though,
No. Yeah.
because if you die, there's no health system, right? There's no hearts or anything like that. When you die, you just kind of restart at the beginning of that part of the level. So you don't necessarily need to go all the way back, which is great. I was kind of thinking that that's how it would end up working, but no, so there's really no punishment for dying, other than the fact that, like, oh, you might have been right at the end of the level and then you died, so you're just gonna have to like restart that part of the level. But overall, I really did enjoy like the fluidity of the game. I think they nailed that. And I think that that's like a really important part for like a game like this, right? Where like you have to be so precise, right? They call it a precision platformer. You have to have fluid movement. You have to make sure that every keystroke or every controller button press, whatever you want to call it, it reacts immediately. And this game feels really good. It feels really tight in terms of like being able to parkour off things. It's a very parkour kind of base game. um, and I think you got a little further than me in the game, because I don't think I came across the yellow flowers. I might have, but I just don't fully like kind of remember using them. But I will say, like, I really enjoyed like using the whip. I thought the whip was like a lot of fun to use, like grabbing flowers and I guess swinging from them as well. I'm sure there's more different types of things that you can do with the whip. And that kind of ties into like we'll talk about the art and the story side of it, because obviously we need to bring up Indiana Jones with a game like this, right? But yeah, I think overall, like, for a game that's currently on sale for like $7 and like it's a $10 game. The gameplay was a lot better than I was expecting for a game in that price range. We've paid for games around that price range before, and it doesn't feel as polished. I guess what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is like the actual gameplay feels really polished. I do agree it feels a little empty at times, and I think that's where when we start talking about the story, I think that's where the story could kind of fill in there a bit. Especially, if you want, we can get into the story right
Yeah,
now, Tommy.
let's do it.
If you have a game that's clearly inspired by Indiana Jones, which is such a story, has such amazing moments in Indiana Jones. Almost every scene of like the first two movies is like a classic scene, right? Like you just know that it's impactful to like cinema. And I just feel like this game, I was expecting more from the story side. I kind of felt like it was just lacking overall. Like I didn't really know, or really kind of, it didn't instill in me why we're doing all these sort of things. Other than that, I guess I'll just be jumping through and collecting gems. So I think that they kind of missed the mark there a little bit in terms of the story. You don't obviously want to just copy exactly what Indiana Jones did, since it is very similar um, to the look of Indiana Jones and just the overall kind of vibe, I think. But I would really like there to be more of a presence with the story, like maybe more risk. Maybe that plays into the part of like, the fact that if I die, it's okay because I'll just restart at that part of the level. Indiana Jones is all about risk, right? Like it's all about like falling into traps and how is Indy going to get out of this situation? I didn't really feel that in the story and the gameplay for this game, and I feel like that would have brought it to like the next level, right? Of like maybe there's a certain part in the level you go to, and it looks like that's the spot you're supposed to go to, but then you end up dying, right? Or you go there and there's an enemy there and he's like he captures you, right? And that's part of the story maybe, or something like that. I think they could have tied that in a little bit more, but I think overall like the story just wasn't there for me. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you make a good point about Indiana Jones just kind of being like this kind of such a story driven, like just fun and like just like some of my favorite movies, to be honest. And what we have here is a very cutesy version of Indiana Jones, but without kind of you could have cutesified the storylines of Indiana, not like the direct storylines, you can't copy it, but like you could have been like, and it might be towards the end, but like you really got to set things up. I don't know, right? Like you got to be like, what you get here is the main character is just going out and becoming a famous archaeologist. I'm going out to go find my archaeological digs and stuff like that. And you do and all that fun stuff. But you gotta early on, you gotta be like, this is the mythical thing that we gotta go find, and
Yeah.
this is why, and you know, there may be some kind of mystery there, like, you don't have to exactly tell your character what it is or why you have to find it or, the I mean, in Indiana Jones, a lot of Nazis, right? But like you can have some kind of cutesified,
Some
like
cute.
evil, yeah, like a cutesified evil force, right? Like an evil
Yeah.
force, like oh, the jungle's like being run by like evil people now. We have to get through to them. You don't have to like have combat. You don't have to include the combat. You just like, you have to avoid them, right? That'll be
Yeah.
kind of fun. So, that is where it's lacking because you start playing, you just know that you want to be an archaeologist, and this is kind of your first big adventure, and then you run into your mom for some reason, and she's like, "Can you find these things?" Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sounds good. And then you run into a turtle who's like, "Can you find these things?" Oh yeah, okay, that's good. So it's not really it's just tasks. It's not really any kind of um any kind of like real stakes or anything like that.
Yeah.
And you know, I won't promise this is the last time I mentioned Celeste, but like the reason Celeste was so good was it had this amazing tight precision platforming, which I think this game has a lot of, but without the same kind of depth. But it also had this really beautiful story, a story about this girl who's having these mental health issues, and kind of her journey, kind of like going through that and trying to figure out what's going on, and like kind of discover herself, where this game, it doesn't have to be that, right? It doesn't have to be a self-discovery journey, because that would be just a ripoff. But you have this really cool looking character, and we'll talk about that in the art. Give this character something really cool to like flesh them out, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all we're really looking for. And when and it's the tough thing, right? Because when you are dying a lot in these platformers, right? These really tough platformers. And there is something to be said about how good like they can be, right? But when you're dying a lot, sometimes you need a reason to like be like, okay, beyond just I want to get past this, you want to be like, oh, I want to know what happens here. That's what
Mhm.
that's what Celeste was, right? Like there was like really hard challenges in Celeste, and you're like, I want to know more about this character and her journey. So that's really where it was lacking here. But
Yeah.
I will say somewhere it wasn't lacking was the art. And the art was it's just beautiful, cutesy, sprites here, just like really cool character design, whip movements, awesome. It's a beautiful game. I do really like it, and you get these vibrant greens and blues, of the jungle and all this stuff, and everything looks really good. I will say there is some moments for me where you run into something that you don't even really knew you could run into,
Mhm.
but I wasn't like really held up by it. I was just like, this is such a pretty game. I like looking at it, and to be honest, it is one of the reasons to keep playing it, because you're just like, "Wow, this looks really cool." And the flowers, like, kind of giving the different flowers different things, and the mushrooms having special abilities, and the keys kind of have their own
Yeah.
personality as well. It's a really beautiful game. And outside of like a few minor things, I really, really love the art here, right? Like it just had so much personality, and which is a shame. I would have liked it to have been backed up by a little bit more like writing wise of
Yeah.
personality. But it's a really pretty game, and I'm a huge fan, and I would like to see more of this kind of art style, in games, and maybe even from this developer, whoever did the art style for it.
Yeah, totally agree. I think like this game super vibrant, has a really great like just overall like color palette where there's like certain levels that are like all blue, all green, and like it all kind of fits together. Nothing kind of seems out of place there. Really enjoyed overall like the art style for the game. It's easy to understand also what you can like interact with as well. I did also have the same issue as you. Like sometimes you don't realize like something's gonna like hurt you or like kind of damage you in a certain way. Or I guess it doesn't damage you because there's no health, but it'll kill you. Basically, certain things that you didn't know would kill you end up killing you. Whip is super satisfying. Even just kind of like the overall like movement of the character and the way it looks with kind of little like puffs of smoke that come out as you kind of hop through certain things. Like it's all really satisfying. I really enjoyed, you mentioned the keys and having their own personality. I was like, this is awesome. Like you pick up the key and it like hovers around you, basically, or hovers near you. I'm like, this is really cool. Actually reminded me, I played a little bit of Questmaster. I'll talk about that a little later,
Ooh.
but same sort of thing in Questmaster as well. That might be a new trend, maybe that we're hopping on here, of keys floating near you. I don't know if that's something that's super common in other games, but it was pretty cool in this one. Yeah, overall, I think the art was like a really strong point for the game, and yeah, like you said, it's kind of a reason to keep moving forward, right? Like I almost felt at certain parts of this game, and this is maybe tying into like the story side a little bit, where it reminded me of like Moto Night, right? Where I was just like, why am I even doing this? Okay, like
Mhm.
I just want to. I'm just gonna stop. This is just too frustrating. So there was like Moto Night was definitely more of that, but there were small moments in this game where I was just like, I just need to like stop for a few minutes and like do something else, and I'll come back and see if I can like beat that level. Yeah, so I just think that like from the art standpoint with that, that's kind of the driving factor of me continuing to play, was like I just wanted to see what the next level looked like. But it would have been great to have like more story elements kind of thrown in there to kind of drive the reason I was playing. But overall, really enjoyed the art for the game. I think it's definitely, like I said, a strong point of what the game is. But yeah, what about the sound and the music, Tommy? How are you feeling about all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it so the soundtrack is clean, right? It fits right in. It's very poppy, right? It's just very bubblegummy, just like
Hmm.
very nice, just like the art. Very nice to look at, very nice to listen to.
Cute.
It's very cute, right? And sound effects, cool, right? You get the whip sound and then the flowers kind of like activating and then your whatever power up activating as well. All sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And there's little things, even like when you walk past a bush, it will shake a little bit, making a little noise, stuff like that. It's nothing groundbreaking for sure. It's not like I gotta download this soundtrack now, but it fits the vibe. It's totally integrated within the whole aesthetic of the game, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't have a lot of notes on it because it was like, all right, hey, this is not offensive to listen to, and it makes sense with what I'm doing. So I was like, I wouldn't say I was like I'm a huge fan of this, but I'm like, I'm a fan.
Yeah, definitely agree. It was it fit the whole vibe of the game, but I also do think that like, I hate to just keep comparing it to like Indiana Jones, but like Indiana Jones has some awesome music, right? Like
Well,
epic kind of music,
it was
right?
John Williams. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah.
compete with John Williams.
I mean, they could have got him, but but just I also like everything for me with this game like ties back to the story. Like I feel like if the story was fleshed out in this game and more indie like, or Indiana Jones, I should say, I guess. Oh, it's an indie game that's Indiana.
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
just realized that.
nice.
But it would have lent itself, like if the more fleshed out the story was, it would have lent itself to like more epic music, right? Like overall, like not maybe it wouldn't be John Williams level, but it still could have been something that maybe I'd be like, oh, let me get this on Spotify. Let me check out a few of these tracks because this slaps. Overall, as the kids say, right? I think they do. Anyway, but who knows?
It whips. No.
Yeah, yeah, whips. Yeah, the whip. Speaking of whip, whip sounded good. Enjoyed the way that it sounds when you get the key and when you unlock the doors. All the sound effects are great. Like everything in the game was done well. It's just I was expecting like more, just seeing the description of the game and knowing it was Indiana Jones related. I just kind of expected a little bit more out of it. Maybe Archaeogem 2 will kind of flesh out some story stuff. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, I like you said, I wasn't like offended by the sound or anything like that. Like I thought they did a decent job. It's just not, there's certain games we play and we're just like, this is a soundtrack here,
Yeah.
and this game just didn't hit that level, but that's okay. I think it still did a pretty good job. And
It
then
did
I
its
know,
job. Yeah.
yeah, it did its job exactly, yeah. And then on the performance side of things, uh, I did play. I played on Steam, and I also played through my Steam Link on kind of my phone, basically. And yeah, everything ran really well. Didn't have any issues. I will say, because this isn't really on the performance side, I guess, but like because this game is like so intense, you have to time things perfectly. It was pretty hard to play like on the phone. Like I was really like squeezing stuff. Like I definitely recommend like using a normal controller and just like playing, on Steam or whatever it is. Not on the performance side, obviously, but just an FYI, because I was laying next to my wife and I was like, I'm probably being pretty loud while I'm just like hitting all these buttons, trying to like, time everything perfectly. But yeah, everything ran well for me performance wise. What about you?
Yeah, for the most part, quite good. There were a couple times when my character would get like glitched out on like an edge of something, especially
Mm,
with the yellow flowers. There was something that kept happening, but it wasn't game breaking. It would kind of it had like a self fix. It looked like it would kind of knock you away from it. So like it wasn't like, whoa, this is destroying the game. So it was
yeah,
just something, and it seems like they're aware of it and that like they built something into it, but for a second you're just like paused like
yeah.
on the ledge, and it's a little bit weird. But other than that, worked fine. I played it on Steam. I would say do not play with a keyboard, but that I think is more of a skill issue on my end, I guess, but not really
No,
performance.
yeah, I
Um,
definitely wouldn't play this with a keyboard.
I will say I did see, some complaints, and this could be, worth bringing up that yeah, there's only two kind of outputs that you can put in terms of like I think it's just the keyboard and the certain buttons they have mapped already.
Uh,
So like you can't map it to even I think be like Celeste. I think it's a little bit different than Celeste. So
mm,
um it's worth noting, but
yeah.
something that I didn't have a too much of an issue with. But yeah, but that's going to take us to the rating here. And if you don't know what the ratings are, they are as follows, and they are all grocery store themed. And S tier, certified fresh juice, right? It's the best thing you can ever have. It's delicious. It's the best. These are your Animal Wells of the world, your Balitros, your Norp Apologues. You got a steel. These are your the Cub, your Pepper Grinders, stuff like that. These are your like just solid games. They're not gonna change the world, but you're gonna have a great time playing them. You have Get on Sale after that. These are the games that are perhaps a little bit more uh dependent, right? Like it could be something worth waiting till it goes on sale, or something is like, all right, I'm into the genre, I'm going to buy it, and I'm probably going to enjoy it. But it does have some issues. And then you have Manager Special. These are games that we tend not to recommend for people. These are more your like you got to either get it on a deep discount if you want to try this out, or you are really really into the genre, right? Like you got to be like one of those people. Um,
I thought
you
you were gonna
know,
be like, you gotta be really like messed up if
you
you
gotta
want
be
this. Like
some.
you gotta,
There's gotta
yeah, you
be.
gotta be like a 6 pack deep,
You
like with your wallet in hand, man.
Well, I can't wait, man. We're gonna meet people who's like, I'm sick in the head. I play your manager specials all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally, spoiled milk. These are things that we do not like, and we wouldn't recommend anybody buy because it's spoiled and it's milk. Well, I'm not a big milk drinker. I know Matt likes milk, but
Yeah.
um,
Lactate milk these days though.
it's
But
so true, so
yeah,
true.
but
I've been getting
still
the
good.
the Fairlife
Yeah.
chocolate milks
Those are
with
good too.
protein. They're
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Matt, what's your rating for Archaeogem?
So I am giving Archaeogem, I'm giving it an on sale. All right. I think there's a lot of good going for it. I think if you're a fan of the genre, like you kind of mentioned, like maybe you're a big Celeste fan, right? You want to play something that's kind of similar. Even though I haven't played Celeste, I can see the similarities with it. I think, this game's currently 30% off. It's $7. It's normally a $10 game. You're not breaking the bank getting a game like this. But I think if you can pick it up on sale, you're probably gonna have a good time with it if this is your style game. I feel like Celeste, because of all the other stuff it does really well, like from the story, it kind of has that wider audience. So like that would be, a higher score if we were like doing something with Celeste, or we were reviewing Celeste. So yeah, for me, I'm giving this an on sale. I think there's a lot of good going for it. But I just think I really, for me, like the story is what I want more fleshed out. And I think if they ever did that with like the second game, I could see this being like a certified fresh juice. I could see it really bumping up to two ratings there and getting there. But for me, for the first game here, at least, it's an on sale. What about you, Tom?
Yeah. So this game, I think, has a lot going for it. I think it is actually really well made, and they set out to do something, and I think they accomplished a lot of things. Um, but ultimately, because it lacks the substance and feels a little empty at times, I have to bump it to like a high get on sale. Right? I think it could. I could see myself on a different day saying this is a low steal, right?
Mm,
And I think if you're into these, if you're just into really like intense, not intense, but like you're really into the precision platformer, this is a great game for you. I think.
yeah.
Like I would automatically recommend this. Oh, you try this? Like, well, it's at max $10. It's on sale right now. That's awesome. You can just pick that up and like have like a fun experience. But ultimately, for me, I think that you need a little bit more to push you through the tough times in the game, as the one meme says, "Tough times never last, only tough people last." Um, you know,
Yeah.
you need to have a person to kind of want to root for, and I just didn't feel like I was rooting for the main character here. So yeah, so like a high get on sale. I think it's a totally fine game, and I didn't dislike my time with it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like the interesting thing too about like when we get games like this that like it's just like you want to love it, right?
Hmm.
And then there's just like certain things where you just can't look past. So it's just a lot of potential here for this game. This is definitely a game I would recommend if that helps, like with the listeners. Like if you're, like you said, if you're into like precision platformers, but if you're not into precision platformers, I probably wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
So that's different kind of conversation there, right? But anyway, I don't want to keep bringing up Celeste, especially since I haven't played it.
Yeah,
But
it
I
is
have
amazing. I would say it's
I've
one of the best
watched a
games I've
lot of
ever
it.
played.
Yeah. But regardless, definitely a lot of potential with with a sequel if they were ever to do that. So if you're listening, we're definitely interested in a sequel for this game. If you can, flesh out that story, baby, do it. Give me Indiana Jones. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Just straight up copy it. Do it.
I
Uh,
want to see somebody's face melt off like in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Probably in a cute
absolutely.
way, in a cute
Yeah,
way.
exactly. A cute like Nazi way. Anyway.
Oh, anyway, folks. Well, we do have listener questions. If any of the listeners stick around, after our cute Nazi talk. No, I did not see that coming. Anyway, uh, the best
Oh.
way to submit these questions are on the Fresh Juice Discord, or just text them to me if you are my fiance. But first question comes from K Moore. Is your name in media like movies slash TV shows and or games? Or if your name, not is, if your name is in the media, like movie, TV show, video game, do you like it or hate it? So if Matt or Maddie is in the game, do you like it or hate it? Or movie or TV show?
Yeah. No, it's an interesting question. So like I'm thinking of this as like my full name, right? Because like a lot of people are named Matt, right? I don't get bothered if like, there's a Matt in a show or a game I'm watching. Like if anything, I'm you know, like that's the guy that
Yeah.
he's on my team. He's got the same name as me. But if it was my full name, I would still find that pretty cool, to be honest. I mean, especially if it was like Matty Juice. That's not my real name, but like if it was Matty Juice, I'd be like, something's up here. Like these people gotta be listening to the show, right?
What's going on?
Yeah, what's happening?
There's a Tommy Fresh. What the heck?
Yeah, yeah. But it reminds me of like there's a episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where like one of the main guys in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is Jake Peralta, and he's like the whole episode he's helping out this like Law and Order like spinoff, basically, trying to help them solve a crime. He's on like a TV set, all this sort of stuff. He ends up like accusing the wrong person who is like the executive producer. So at the end of the episode, you see like this really disgusting guy. They're watching TV. You see this like really disgusting guy. He's like doing all these like terrible things. He like kills someone, and he's like, don't forget my name. It's Jake Peralta. And like he's watching it and he goes, "Oh my God, they used my name." And I'm like, that's exactly how I would feel. I don't care how you would like use my name or whatever. I'd be like, that's awesome, because like if they used my real name, then maybe they somehow know who I am, maybe, or know, whatever it is. It would be cool. So at the end of the day, I think it would be pretty cool if they used my name. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I think I fully um when I was a kid, I was so anti Tommy, right? And now I'm like full Tommy all the time, right?
Yeah.
But I was anti Tommy as a kid because when I was a kid, Rugrats was huge, and
Oh yeah.
I was the only Tom in class, so everybody was just Tommy Pickles, and I hate Tommy Pickles.
I hate screwdrivers, bro.
I hate him. Stop calling me Tommy Pickles. I wanted my own identity, and I realize now that it was a term of endearment. Maybe, I don't know, but now I'm all for it, right? Like I'm all for Tommy. Call me Tommy Pickles, but call me Tommy Fresh, please. But funny enough, so one of my favorite authors of a book series that I really, really like, I was Facebook friends with like 10 years ago. I don't have a Facebook anymore, but I was Facebook friends with this author 10 years ago. And he's from Portland, Maine. And I was like, hey, I'm going to Portland, Maine soon. What are some recommendations you have? I just messaged him on Facebook. And he answers, oh, go here, go here. Oh, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And then I was like, by the way, I love those books. He's like, thank you so much. And then I saw like later, I had posted like a profile picture and I was holding the book. I didn't even think that he was following me. I wasn't like trying to get his like attention, but like I was just like, I had the book and I had the profile picture and he liked it, right? Flash forward, his next book series, main character, last name, same as mine.
Oh my God.
Same as mine. I don't know if it, actually
Pickles?
Pickle. Absolutely strong. So I don't want to say that he was like, well, I'll give this kid a bone, but
yeah.
But maybe, who knows? Actually, the main character's name is the name of one of our uncles. Actually.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. So
wait, it's literally the name of one of our uncles and the whole name?
Whole name. Yeah.
Wow. There you go. Wow. That's crazy.
So crazy. So
yeah.
I thought it was cool. I was like, I'm going to tell myself that was me, but he probably was already writing that book, but you never know. Like, I feel like if you're writing a book, you're like, I got to come up with a name for this main character.
Yeah.
And you're just like, he looks messages. Oh, fresh. Throw it in.
Yeah, there you go. Dude, it's got to be based in reality at some point.
Yeah.
The
character's pretty cool too. So
cool. Yeah. So did you not know that until you bought the book and started reading it? And you're like, holy hell.
Well, I had been prior. I had been following him, and he's like, and he posted, he's like, here is the announcement of my next book series. It's this. And it tells the story of this guy. And I'm like, oh,
that's me.
That's me. I am the assassin in this book series. So
cool.
It's cool. Awesome. So I'm all for it, K-More, but thank you for the question.
Yeah, good question there. Definitely.
Next question comes from Capolo, who asked, do you have any pre-gaming rituals, or do you have any superstitions, habits when playing games? Random examples. Don't need to read this in the phone.
Don't need it right away. Read it anyway.
Random example. Don't need to read this on the podcast. I am Capolo. Having energy drink before gaming, saving twice just to be sure. Lucky controller, reloading after every shot. Um,
Whew.
oof.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, I am definitely a save twice um guy. I love a save twice. I am
Mhm.
saving twice all the time. I've lost a lot of progress in Pokemon as a child to know to save twice. And then I'm a frequent reloader as well. When I was used to play a lot more FPSs. But in terms of pre-game, I do my stretches like everybody else. You know, I'm a normal guy. I put my gaming gloves on one hand at a time. No, I don't really
Yeah.
have any uh pre-gaming stuff. I usually like in terms of like flesh and blood, I do have some stuff. I'm headed to a tournament. I listen to a certain kind of music to amp me up,
Nice.
and stuff like that. So, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I definitely for those who have watched my stream for a while, I reload after like every shot. It's a terrible habit to get into when you're playing a game like Helldivers that when you reload, you lose like the rest of your magazine. So I've had to like try to change my ways there. I guess like I don't know if this really counts, but like I always need to make sure like when I'm going to play, like especially on PC, everything is like the right distance from me. Like I'm at my keyboard and mouse right now. Everything needs to be like just so. It can be a little askew, I like get everything like just like askew so like my hand can rest perfectly, all that sort of stuff. Because I've had it happen before where like maybe I'm having like a long like gaming session or whatever it is, and like my hand was just like resting in the wrong spot, like on the corner of the desk or whatever. And I lift it up and it looks like, it looks like my hand's about to fall off. Like I've just cut off circulation to like half my hand. So I just need to make sure everything is like in the right place there. I always like to have a drink with me, snack here and there, but like drinks, whether it's water, tea, whatever it is, I always like to just have something to like kind of sip on while I'm playing. Um, and I'm trying to think if there's anything I do like stream wise. I guess one thing that is not, I guess it's not really like a pre gaming ritual, but um, something I picked up while playing games, and I find myself doing it even when I'm not streaming, or I should say, something I picked up while streaming is I just like talk about what I'm thinking. Because like that's like a habit that they say you should get into when you're streaming, just so that there's not a lot of dead silence. So like I'll find myself like if I'm downstairs playing on like the couch on the TV, I'll be like, what do I need to do here? What's going on here? And I'm just like talking to myself. I'm just like, no one's listening. Why am I saying that? Like I could just say that in my head. So I get into like those habits a little bit, but it's not necessarily like the worst habit to have. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I don't really do energy drink stuff anymore. Occasionally I will. But trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. I think everything else is pretty standard with a lot of people these days. Pretty standard.
Yeah, yeah. I find
Yeah.
myself announcing stuff as well sometimes, especially
Yeah.
with Ballotro. I'm just like, oh, we take these. I'm sitting there by myself, just like this might be the best Joker I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
And the game's broken. It won't give me a full house. I hate it. I'm never playing again. I'm picking it up and playing it immediately after. I have a problem. We
Yeah.
we do have one more question from R Carp 11 who asked TV shows or movies.
Oh man. That's a tough one because it definitely depends. I mean, I love a good movie, you know. And I just feel like maybe I would choose TV shows because I feel like it's quicker for me to figure out. Like I won't waste a lot of time if it's not a TV show that I don't like. I'll watch like one episode, like 40 minutes maybe. And I'll be like,
Mhm.
didn't really like that. Move on to something else. For a movie, I'm 40 minutes in, and especially if I'm at the theater, I'm like, well, I got to ride this out. Or like, even when I'm home, I'm like, I got to see, I guess, what happens. Right. And then sometimes it doesn't pay off. So I feel like TV shows, it's like easier to figure out what you like. But I do love like sitting down. I mean, like, it also depends like new movies, old movies. Like, I'll choose Lord of the Rings over pretty much anything So I just like a good Lord of the Rings sesh. So that's a tough one. I don't really know. What about you, Tom?
I think I'm movies all the way. I can't. The reason is I don't think I can think of a single show that I've watched and enjoyed, because I do enjoy some TV shows, that have ever matched even close to the same enjoyment and quality of the best movies I've seen. Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
And maybe that's just a kind of problem with the medium, right? Because you have to tell it in a serial kind of way. And there's some great shows, right? Like I'll say, like I liked Barry almost more than a lot of movies I've seen,
Yeah.
right? Um, and and Better Call Saul and stuff like that. I there's some really really great shows,
True
but
Detective. Yeah.
yeah, True Detective. I mean, yeah, like a single season. A single season. A single season is the best, because I don't because it never ends up being the best show ever for a long time. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, that's why like things like Barry is like they came out like 3 years apart and there was only like 4 seasons, like perfect. But
Yeah.
like a good movie, man, there's just something like, and you just get so many more genres of movie than you do of TV shows. And like I love fantasy, right? I can't do fantasy TV shows,
Yeah.
right? They suck. I don't care. Game of Thrones sucks. I don't
Yeah.
care, people.
Yeah. Fuck Game of Thrones.
I
I don't
it,
like it
it
at all either.
it first of all looks like shit. I hate that. And it's sex, which sure, I like sex.
Incest.
It's okay. Well, I was on board for that. No, it's just like sex, and like it's just like there's no heart there, and it's just like backstabbing. I'm like, okay, like it's House of Cards, but with dragons. Okay, I'll watch House of Cards, arguably better. Um, some people, would be pissed off that I said that, but that's okay. If you guys are still listening, I got you. So like fantasy stuff, and then like I don't. It's very hard to find a good horror show, right? Like
Yeah.
I know people like some of those ones that are on Netflix. I thought they were awful,
Yeah. Like
right?
the haunting of
Hill
whatever
House or
or
whatever.
whatever. Yeah.
And then yeah, I couldn't even get through that. That was so bad, because like the nice thing about a horror movie is, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of bad stuff, but they have this nice budget that they're throwing everything at the wall at like the scary stuff. At least it could be weird and funny at sometimes. But like when
Yeah.
it's stretched over 8 episodes, you're like, I mean, like we've seen this 3 episodes in a row. So
Yeah.
I'm on movies. I love a good movie.
Now, how do you feel about like Rings of Power?
So that's an interesting one,
Yeah.
because I think because I'm so into the source material, or like the IP,
Yeah.
I give it a chance. It's still not as good as the movies, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm watching it, and I think they actually did a. I mean, people, Lord of the Rings fans, and I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I think they did what they could with what they were trying to do, and they're trying to make money or whatever. It is what it is. I'm just gonna watch it because it's out there, and
Yeah.
But some of the parts look like shit. But like when they do like practical effects, it looked pretty good. So if they could just do more of that, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because like for me with like TV shows, because so many of them that come out nowadays, I feel like I'm just like well, I've seen this before. But what I'm really enjoying lately is like I feel like TV shows are like the best medium for video games, like adaptations, at least for
Hmm.
right now. Like I just feel like the format of a TV show is almost similar to like the format of how someone might play a game, where like you
Yeah,
sit down,
in
play for like an
sessions.
hour, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I just feel like movies, they're trying to cram like and if you think about it too, like a game, a really solid game is maybe like 15 to 20 hours of like story, right? So like cramming that into a movie is really hard. Like cramming that into like 2.5 hours is tough.
Hmm.
TV show, you could have like 8 hours of total footage, 8 to 10 hours, however many episodes it's going to be. And I feel like it just lends itself better to like the TV show medium. So I've been really enjoying, like, obviously, like Fallout, has been like a big discussion, like The Last of Us. And I know like there's that Dead Cells animated show that's going to be coming out that like I'm interested in watching. So yeah, I think like TV shows for me, like it's either like I have to watch a classic show, which by the way, we just finished The Sopranos. Great series. I don't Why did it just cut off though? No, why is no one talking about this at the end? No,
Well, I think they were in
yeah,
2003 or whatever.
yeah. But that's what I mean is like I gotta watch like a classic show, right? Like that, like I know people have said is good, or I gotta watch something funny, like Vice Principals or like, whatever, some The Office, like something like that. Then I'm like, okay, that lends itself to like a TV show format, like pretty well. But regardless, I'm really on the fence with like movies and TV shows. It's a tough question,
I will say currently comedy is living on television because you don't get a lot of straight up comedy movies anymore.
Yeah,
It's
true.
got to be forced into an action movie if they're gonna make anything. So
Yeah, Deadpool. There you go.
yeah, Deadpool or any Marvel movie, any like any
Yeah.
superhero movie is just gonna like here's the silly stuff within it, but you know, comedy is living on television, and it's Seinfeld. I mean, that's
Oh man,
the
so
best.
good. Was watching it today.
Yeah,
Great
just so
show.
good.
All the
Yeah,
listeners out there, if you haven't watched Seinfeld, watch it. All right. Our whole next episode next week is going to be all Seinfeld.
yeah,
Okay.
it's all pipes. So,
Yeah.
uh, but that does bring us to the end of the show, which means we're going to do the rec room where we recommend something that perhaps isn't an indie game and or is sometimes in a lot of cases. And then we're going to say our goodbyes. Matthew, what are you recommending this week?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Mine is an indie game. It's a little game called Hades.
Okay.
Not sure if anyone has heard of it. No, but seriously, I've been sleeping on this game. All right, like I've watched it. I watch a lot of more games than I end up playing. But it's been sitting in my Epic Games library for a while. Boot it up, and everything from the gameplay, the art, the story, the dialogue, like everything is so well done in Hades that like it is. I want to play more of this, and then I want to, I'm gonna wait for Hades 2 to go like 1.0, which hopefully won't be too long because I'm already in. We got 33 Immortals, that beta coming up. That's like Hades esque.
Yeah.
I kind of feel, hopefully we get into it, but I kind of feel like I'm also prepping for that by playing Hades. But if you haven't played Hades yet, you might even own it because it was free on Epic Games. That's how I got it a while ago. Download it, play it, and just enjoy yourself. Like it is so good. I understand all the hype with
Yeah.
Hades. Like it is just like so much, so satisfying. I guess is like the perfect word to describe it for me. It's satisfying to just play. I'm laughing. I'm showing like my wife loves like Lore Olympus, which is like
Mhm.
a webtoon comic that actually recently just ended. She's loving watching and listening to it because it's kind of like that, mythological sort of like atmosphere, and then also it's like you got the humor thrown into it. So it's just great. I mean, like I guess I don't need to say that much about Hades. Everybody knows how great it is, but for me, it's all new and it's awesome. So Hades is the rec for me this week.
Love Hades, love Hades. Glad you're finally playing it. Celeste is probably next for you, buddy,
Yeah,
because I Celeste is amazing. That's a really really good game, and like it comes in a nice little package too.
yeah,
Um, so I sat down and okay, so I watched a movie that I think a lot of people have seen already, and I had just put it off. I never saw it in theaters or whatever, but I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once,
okay, yeah,
which won I think Best Picture a couple years ago. I'm not gonna recommend it. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I'm not giving it a certified fresh juice. It was good. I think the acting was amazing. I forget the guy's name, the actor, but the guy who played Short Round in Indiana Jones
it's
is
all tying
amazing.
together. Yeah,
Yeah, he is absolutely just phenomenal in that movie, as well as everybody else in the cast.
yeah,
So that was like if you're into really good performances, I would watch that. The story didn't really hit home with me. It felt a little messy, but that is what it is. But I do have something right here that I want to recommend.
Do it.
Um, if anybody likes Old Bay seasoning, so if you like crabs or whatever, but like, or even if you go to like a Phillies game, I know it's probably like,
Yeah.
very regional, but you get
Chickies
like
and Pete's.
Chickies and Pete's crab fries. You like crab
Yeah.
fries?
I love crab fries. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
Goldfish Old Bay, not sponsored,
Hold on.
not
No, here we
sponsored.
go. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Goldfish Old Bay seasoning. This stuff is so good, so good, man. I'm blown away. I
Yeah.
was eating them last night. I was like, damn. Like I usually, anytime I see Old Bay like comes out with a flavored thing with like a chip or whatever, usually
Yeah.
Utz does a lot of it.
Yeah.
Sold Pepperidge Farms, which makes goldfish, I believe. I think.
Sure.
Do they?
I'm gonna say
Uh,
I believe it. I
yes. It's usually in the
Yeah.
Pepperidge Farms section at the. For whatever reason, oh yeah,
Well,
it is Pepperidge Farm.
yeah.
Pepperidge Farm's getting in the Old Bay thing. Next, we're gonna see Milano cookies with Old Bay seasoning.
Yeah.
Might be crazy. I'll try it. These amazing. If you and like people, you've had goldfish. People have had goldfish. They're good. Goldfish are good. Oh man, I don't know what's going on with these. It makes sense. They're fish. Old
Yeah.
Bay. Like yes, it's all coming together. Yeah,
Yeah.
these things are awesome. But
Yeah. I uh I love Old Bay seasoning. I'm not a big seafood guy, as you know. And actually, something funny about crab fries was for my wedding, we had the Philly fry truck. It was a food truck that did all these different types of different fries and stuff, like after the wedding, kind of like for the after party. And I saw crab fries on the menu. Didn't read the ingredients or anything. I was just like, I want crab fries. Figured they're Philly fry truck from Philly. They know what crab fries are. No, it was fries with a bunch of crab on it. And I
crab on it,
just
and it probably also had Old Bay.
probably, yeah. But I was just like, that's not exactly what I wanted. But that's my fault for not reading the description. Also, I just looked up who makes goldfish. Pepperidge Farm, a division of the Campbell Soup Company. Look at
Oh, how
that.
about that? My friend just started working for them out of
Oh,
Camden, New Jersey, folks. South
nice.
Jersey, beautiful town. You should go visit.
Yeah. Makes me wonder, why isn't there a goldfish soup cracker?
I mean, aren't they kind of already a little bit?
I guess so. Maybe I'll have to try that Old Bay and some tomato bisque or something.
I'm thinking like a New England clam chowder or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, true. There you go. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna lose it. This is
Yeah.
all
Posting in the
crazy.
food pics in the Discord tonight.
Yeah.
Be like 1 a.m. Tommy's making some fucking clam chowder.
Yeah, I'm getting fresh tonight, boys. But that is going to do it for the show on that note. But you can continue to find me, folks, on all socials, not all socials, on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds, talk about the game Flesh and Blood. It's very fun over there. You should check out that game. It's awesome. It's amazing. If you've played any TCGs, this one's really sweet. Or if you've never played a TCG before in your life, I think it's actually could be beneficial. You don't have any of the existing heuristics there. But you continue to find us, the podcast, on all socials at Fresh Juice Pod. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Friendster, Foursquare,
Yep.
Yelp.
Go.
No. And where can people find you, Matthew?
Yeah, if you want to find me outside the show at Matty Gorm, GORM, on all the socials and everything. I'm trying to stream a little bit more. I know I've been saying that the past few episodes. Also, would love to do some fresh juice streaming, perhaps in the near future. Maybe a little Questmaster action, something like that could be fun. But yeah, it's another good ep in the books, Tommy.
It sure is, folks. Leave a comment below. Was this good? Was this a good thing? If it wasn't, say why. But if it was, also say why. Thank you so much. Stay fresh, juicy. Wee.